Hey everybody, welcome to Home with the Halsteads and welcome to my kitchen. Today we're going to make baked apples. It's that time of the year, fresh apples are in and they are delicious and it's one of my favorites. So let's get busy and let me tell you how we're going to bake our apples. Today I'm using Honey Crisp apples. I have 4. These are medium-sized apples. You can use large ones or you can use your favorite baking apples. It doesn't have to be Honey Crisp, but I like these and so that's what I'm using today. I'm also going to be using 1/2 of a stick of butter, which is 1/4 of a cup, and I've let this come to room temperature. I'm using a 1/2 cup of light brown sugar, and I packed mine because I like a lot of brown sugar. So you can pack it or you don't have to pack it, but it's a 1/2 cup of light brown sugar. I'm using 3/4 of a teaspoon of ground cinnamon, 3/4 of a teaspoon of ground cinnamon, and 1/4 of a cup of chopped pecans. So let's get busy, prepare these apples and bake them and enjoy them. Today I'm using an 8x8 baking dish. This is just a little casserole dish to bake our apples in. And I'm going to put 3/4 of a cup of water in the bottom of it. Now, I have already washed and cored our apples. You can see here that I took a small knife. I used one about this size, and you have to be very, very careful in coring this. This is not something that children could do. So if your children are helping you, they can help to mix up the mixture that we're going to put in our apples. But I would suggest that adults core the apples. But I started on the stem side. You could, on the bloom side, you could core from the stem side if you wanted to, but you just want your apples to stand up, and they're shaped differently, so mine stood up best by working it from this end. As you core your apples, they'll begin to turn dark on the inside. So if you're doing more than 4 like I'm doing today, you might want to put your little lemon juice in there, but it won't hurt it because you're going to bake it. So that's fine. I just wanted to point that out as to why they're turning dark in the center. So now I'm just going to place our apples in this little baking dish. And remember, we put 3/4 of a cup of water, and I'm going to set that aside. Now we'll mix up the mixture that goes in our apples, or that we're going to fill them with. We have a 1/2 cup of light brown sugar and 3/4 of a teaspoon of ground cinnamon. I'm going to go ahead and mix this together, my dry ingredients. Remember, I always like to mix my dry ingredients together before adding anything wet or any liquids. To that, I'm adding 1/4 of a cup of butter that has come to room temperature. And I'm just mixing that around. I'm using a fork today. You could use a whisk if you wanted to. I'll go ahead and add our pecans, 1/4 of a cup of chopped pecans. And I think what I'm going to do at this point, which I do a lot, as you have seen me do, is to grab some gloves. I like to work with gloves when I'm using my hands. So I'm going to grab some gloves and mix this mixture together. You could just use your hands if you wanted to, but I do better if I use gloves, and then it doesn't get under your nails, and it's just easier to work with. But if you don't have gloves, then certainly you don't have to use them. It's just a preference of mine. So this is all mixed together, and it's jumping out of the bowl. I have jumping food. I have a lot of jumping food. Okay, now we're going to bring our apples back over. So here we have our apples, and I'm going to take about 1/4 of this, and I'm just going to roll it just like that. Make a little log out of it, and I'm going to press it down in our apple. And I had too much, so I'm just going to break it off and just fill that in, and I'll get some more and I'll roll it. This is so much easier than putting it in a spoon and trying to pack it down in there. So you can just roll it like that, pack it in, and we'll do these other two, and this will be ready to go in the oven. I have our oven preheating to 375 degrees. We'll bake these for, it takes about an hour. We just want to bake them until they get soft and tender, and then we'll take them out, and of course you know that we'll have to test them and taste them. Test and taste. That's what we're doing today. We're testing and tasting. Okay. And I had a little more brown sugar than I need, but I think it's because I packed it. So you don't have to pack your brown sugar unless you just want to. So there you have it. We're ready to go in the oven with 4 apples, and we'll come out with 4 baked delicious apples. Our apples are done, and how we know that they're done, I have this little tester here. It's a cake tester, and I'm just going to stick the tester in the apple, and it tests soft. So I know that these apples are ready to come out. We're going to let them cool, and then we will sample them. After I took our apples out of the oven, I covered them with aluminum foil. And the reason that I did that was because it takes a while for these to cool because they're very, very hot, and I wanted them to stay moist. So I covered them with foil, and then look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Look. Oh my, I can't wait to get to taste these. But what I did, I had things to do this morning, and I wanted to go to the Y and do a class, and so these have been cooling and sitting here for about 2.5 hours. And I just covered them with foil, and I say that to say that you can cook these ahead of time. You don't have to wait until you go in your kitchen to prepare a meal. In fact, if you do, they're not going to be done because it's not going to take you an hour to cook your meal, and then an hour or so to wait for the apples to cool. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to dip one, and I'm going to get one of these that's split if I can. Let's see if we can get this on here without messing it up. That tells me that it's really, really tender and delicious. Oh my goodness, look at that. Doug is going to love these, and I wish that our granddaughter Taylor Kate was here because she loves anything apple, and she would adore this and love it. So now I'm going to cut it and just see. We'll taste it in a minute too. But it just cuts so tender. Look at that. Oh my goodness. Let me see if I can show you. Look at that. Oh, it's going to be so good. So now I'll meet you at the camera, and we'll do our taste test. Thank you for joining me in my kitchen today. I hope that you'll make some baked apples really soon, now that they're in season, and enjoy them with your family and with your friends. If you don't mind, if you'll share this video, comment and also like our page. I would appreciate it so much. So now let's taste. Can you see? Look, that looks so awesome. That is so delicious. I'm going to eat this whole apple. I forgot to turn my ringer off. You have a blessed day, and I'll see you again really, really soon.